This is a recording to kind of guide you initially into the PD TRIS credit training using the children's book Anti-Racist Baby. And it is from a series of children's books for grown-ups. And you can see the title, author, and illustrator here. And if you go through the next page, you'll see that Michelle Hemingway Pullen, that's me, I'm the trainer, and you can contact me at any time at the contact information below. You're going to use the book Anti-Racist Baby, that is the hardcover picture book edition. There are several books by that title that have come out. One's a board book, and then there's this picture book edition, and then Ibram Kendi has several other books regarding racism. So be sure you have the right edition, and you can click on that link to make sure you've got the correct one. There is a webinar that we use in this training, and you'll notice that I have that about almost 5 minutes into the video is when it starts, because they had technical difficulties. So just letting you know that. And you can submit your work to me at that email address. You should receive an email confirmation from me when I receive your submission. And then within 72 hours, you'll receive notification that you've been given your TRIS credit. If you're doing PD credit, I'll also notify you about that depending on how those arrangements have been set up. So the first part of the independent study on this book involves you reading the book to yourself, and then you'll notice that here I have space for you to comment about each of the 9 steps that are covered in the book. So you'll have space there to either print this out and make notes, and then type up your notes in a summary form and submit that for credit, or you can type as you go depending on your preference. It's really up to you. What you submit would be a typed summary of your notes, or your typed notes if you listened and typed as you went along. So you will listen to the video exchange between the author and illustrator before their question and answer session, and they will talk about different pages on the book. Ibram Kendi reads the book. It's a really great introductory portion of the interview. And again, just type as you go or take notes and then summarize. So it's kind of a 2-part. First, part 1, you're reading the book to yourself, and then you're also listening to the author-illustrator discussion of the book itself. And then in part 2, which comes, here we go. Part 2 is the question and answer session from the webinar, which is just as powerful as the first part of the discussion, in my opinion. And I think you'll see this is where you really can learn a lot more in depth on some of the issues that are raised in the book itself. So you'll notice that on some of them I have little follow-up links for each question. You can go to those, or it's up to you. I don't have them on every question, but I have them on the ones that I think are most helpful. And then, so you can see there were quite a few questions, but they go into lots of areas that are really important. So I'm glad that we have that opportunity to consider those questions. You might even want to think of the questions you would have asked them. I know I did. And then in your conclusion portion, you just have a few things to think about. You have some resources that I've offered you. A lot of these organizations I have written curriculum for, done trainings with, had a relationship to, so I'm happy to provide you with in-depth conversation or training about that work. But here it is. This really is a very comprehensive list of resources. And then you'll start to notice now that There are bigger foundations to some of the policies and legal issues related to these topics, and these are some resources for that if you're wanting to be further educated, or if you're considering work with older students. And by older, I definitely mean middle school to high school. None of these resources here would be appropriate for anybody younger than that. But they're very appropriate for us. So hopefully this will be a helpful, self-reflective, independent study. And don't hesitate to contact me, with any questions. Thanks.